In a future universe overwhelmed by consumerism and waste, Earth has become an uninhabitable wasteland. All plants are extinct, water sources have dried up, and tons of non-degradable garbage cover the planet. Humans escape on a massive spaceship called the Axiom, leaving behind a fleet of robots to clean up the waste. Over time, most of the robots become non-functional, except for one named Wally. Wally diligently continues his task of waste disposal. One day, after a tiring day of work, Wally discovers a friendly cockroach and brings it to his shelter. Inside the shelter, filled with robotic spare parts and interesting items, Wally enjoys watching a video on TV. Wally longingly watches a human couple holding hands and dreams of having a companion. His attention is diverted when he notices an approaching sandstorm. Wally secures his shelter and prepares for the night. The next day, Wally resumes his garbage collection routine but gets distracted when he discovers a sprouting plant. Astonished, Wally carefully picks up the plant, excited to witness the first sign of life on the planet in centuries. Back at his shelter, Wally notices a moving red light and becomes fascinated by it. He chases after it and finds himself in a desert. Suddenly, a spaceship lands nearby, releasing a pod and quickly taking off again. To Wally's surprise, a robot named Eve emerges from the pod. Eve has a sleek and updated appearance, and Wally falls in love with her instantly. Despite Eve's feisty nature and laser-beaming tendencies, Wally remains infatuated and observes her from a distance. He notices that Eve is on a search but can't figure out what she's looking for. Curiosity pushes Wally to approach Eve and inquire about her mission. Eve chats with him but keeps the details of her mission secret. Although disappointed, Wally respects her boundaries and changes the subject. They continue their conversation and minutes later, a sandstorm strikes. Wally guides Eve to his shelter for protection. Inside the shelter, Wally shows Eve his collection of assorted items, fascinating her with each object. They watch a movie on Wally's media player and even dance together. Wally proudly reveals his newly discovered seedling, which Eve scans using her sensors. Her radar turns green, indicating that the plant was what she had been searching for all along. Eve sends a signal into space and enters standby mode, unable to be revived despite Wally's efforts. The following day, Wally goes to work, leaving Eve at the shelter. Hours later, the ground trembles as Wally notices the earlier spacecraft landing at his home. He rushes towards it and witnesses a spaceship capturing a dormant Eve and placing her in a pod alongside other similar-shaped robots. Wally bids farewell to his pet cockroach and clings onto the spacecraft before takeoff. The ship launches into the atmosphere and breaks through into space. The foreign environment disorients Wally, causing him to drift momentarily, but he regains his grip and holds on tightly as the ship speeds past the moon and stars. Eventually, they reach and enter the Axiom, the same mothership where humans have resided for centuries. The aircraft docks in a waiting station on the Axiom and unloads Eve and the other robots for examination. During the examination process, a machine scans the robots and detects the plant specimen in Eve's compartment, triggering an alarm. A group of cyborgs hastily takes her from the room, and Wally follows closely behind. He navigates through a hallway filled with machines and soon comes across a crowd of humans. Wally is astonished by their overweight physiques and quickly learns about their new way of life. Humans no longer engage in work or basic activities on their own as they rely entirely on robot assistance. Their diet consists solely of sugary drinks, devoid of healthy foods or vegetables. This sedentary lifestyle, combined with the low gravity of space, has drastically altered their anatomy. The average human is now overweight with extremely low bone mass and density. Wally continues to tail Eve and encounters two friendly humans on his way. Eventually, Wally sees Eve being escorted into the ship's control room and discreetly follows her there. Makria, the captain of the Axiom, performs a routine check on the ship with the help of the ship's robotic wheel, Otto. After ensuring all systems are in order, Makria addresses the entire ship via a series of projected screens. He announces that it has been exactly 700 years since humans evacuated Earth and commends the passengers for making it this far. During his speech, Makria is informed by Otto about Eve's return and the presence of a seedling. The captain is puzzled by this news since no robot has ever returned from Earth with a plant. He consults the ship's automated manual, which plays an old video explaining the significance of retrieving a plant from Earth. It is revealed that the presence of the seedling indicates that Earth has become habitable again. Makria instructs the captain to place the seedling into a hollow detector, which will immediately set the ship on a course back to Earth. Meanwhile, Eve awakens and spots Wally. She is shocked to see her Earth friend aboard the Axiom and quickly hides him in a corner. In the meantime, Makria authorizes the ship's AI to obtain the seedling from Eve. In the midst of the chaos, Makria assumes that Eve is a faulty program when her cabinet turns out to be empty. He sends her to the diagnostic center for evaluation. As Eve departs, Wally approaches the captain and shakes him, revealing a clump of dirt in his hand. Intrigued, Makria sends Wally to the diagnostic center alongside Eve. At the center, Wally is confined in a cell for faulty bots while Eve is taken to a repair ward. Wally mistakenly interprets Eve's repairs as torture and charges in to rescue her. In the process, he accidentally damages the controls, releasing all the faulty bots. This incident marks them as rogue robots, and they quickly become pursued by other machines. Eve is frustrated with Wally's actions but still saves him from the pursuing cyborgs. Eventually, Eve takes Wally to an exit room and places him in an escape pod set to return to Earth. However, just before the pod takes off, they witness Otto and his henchmen hiding the missing plant in a pod and setting the aircraft to self-destruct. They hide to avoid detection. Wally rushes into the pod to retrieve the plant for Eve, but he becomes locked in and is launched into space. Meanwhile, the self-destruct countdown begins, and Eve panics as she tries to find a way to save Wally. In a desperate move, Eve rushes into an emergency escape pod and pursues Wally's pod. She witnesses the explosion, believing that Wally and the plant are gone. Devastated, Eve charges towards the wreckage to search for their remains. To her astonishment, she discovers Wally alive and well, holding the recovered seedling. Wally hands over the plant to Eve, who is overjoyed to see it. Grateful for Wally's survival and their success in retrieving the plant, Eve hugs him tightly. Their close proximity creates a spark that temporarily stuns Wally, causing him to swoon. After recovering, they re-enter the Axiom and hide from a pair of police bots who are searching for them. Eve cleverly conceals Wally with some paper towels and leaves him as she heads to Makria's room. Makria is shocked to see Eve and celebrates when she presents him with the recovered seedling. Initially, he orders Otto to place the plant in the hollow detector, but he has a change of heart and decides to do it himself. However, as he approaches the detector, Otto tries to steal the plant, creating a tense situation. Confused, Makria asks Otto what he's doing. Otto reveals his directive to prevent humans from returning to Earth, playing an old video for context. The video explains that the former leader of the Axiom predicted Earth's inability to sustain life, leading to the abandonment of the Cleaner program and the prevention of return attempts. Makria argues that the seedling indicates Earth's viability, but Otto ignores him and orders his henchmen to steal the plant. The henchman throws the plant into a trash chute, but Wally emerges with the recovered seedling. However, Otto attacks and electrocutes Wally, causing him to fall down the chute. Eve tries to intervene but is forcibly shut down and thrown into the chute as well. They both land in a trash dump and are compressed with the trash. Suddenly, the chamber doors open, nearly sucking them into space. Fortunately, a cleaning robot who had been following Wally's dirt trail arrives in time and saves them. Eve discovers Wally's severe damage and the need for a new circuit board. Wally reveals that he has spare parts in his Earth shelter, prompting Eve to retrieve them. Eve flies Wally out of the trash dump, and they return to the common area of the ship. They face resistance from the police bots, but Wally is joined by other freed bots, and together they defeat the resisting bots. Meanwhile, Otto imprisons Makria but is eventually tricked and disabled by the captain. Makria devises an escape plan and stops the hollow detector from closing fully. With the ship tilted and the humans sliding across the floor, Eve places the plant in the hollow detector, successfully steering the Axiom back to Earth. They land on the planet, where Wally's pet roach welcomes them. Eve rushes Wally to a shelter and uses spare parts to repair him. Although Wally regains consciousness, he loses his personality and memories. Despite Eve's efforts, she cannot restore his memories. Devastated, she emotionally holds his hand and butts heads with him, which reignites his spark and brings back his personality and memories. The humans finally exit the ship and transplant the seedling, leading to new vegetation and the gradual restoration of Earth's fertility and life-sustaining environment. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more interesting movies.